Hi, I'm Dave Richardson, an ACP from the UK. I put together this short video as a result of a discussion with other ACPs about some of the sound problems that we were hearing on our Tech Wednesday calls that were detracting from otherwise great messages. The problems that we discussed were things like background noise, wildly varying levels, crackles as the sound got too loud, and hiss. So is there anything we can do about them? Well, if you've got access to a high-quality microphone, a good audio interface and a vocal booth, then do use them. However, that's not always practical. I find it difficult to use the keyboard and a pen and tablet to present software whilst using such a microphone in front of my face. So does that mean that we're just stuck with the headset plugged straight into Connect Live for our calls? Well, no, as ACPs we've all got access to Adobe Audition. Adobe Audition gives us some great tools for managing our sound, and we can connect our headset straight into Audition to do this. The problem that we've got is how do we then connect the output of Audition to Adobe Connect for our live calls? Well, to the rescue comes VBAudio's virtual cable. It's a simple application that allows us to take the audio output from one application and pipe it into the audio input of another. It is Windows only, but there are alternatives available for the Mac. And if we install it, it's just a simple matter of downloading the software, running the setup file, and then rebooting. So once we've carried that out and rebooted, we'll find that we've got additional options within the audio output of our applications and the audio input of our applications to use virtual cable. So we'll take the audio output through the virtual cable for Audition, and we'll take the audio input from the virtual cable into Adobe Connect for our live calls. So looking back at our issues, the first three we can deal with the dynamics tools in Audition, and the last one we can with the equalizer, or in other words with a tone control. So going through the steps to set this up, first of all, we'll temporarily set Audition output to our speakers or headphones so that we can hear what we're doing. We'll record a section of our own voice so that we can get it to sound the way we want. And then we'll use dynamics in Audition to adjust both the levels and get them under control and to cut out some of the background noise. Then we'll use an equalizer to set the tone quality and control that hiss. And finally, we'll save our settings for future use on live calls with Adobe Connect. So let's open Audition. And with Audition open, we'll go up to Edit, Preferences, Audio Hardware, and within the audio hardware, we'll look for our own microphone. So I'm just going to, on my case, I'm going to set this to MME. I'm on Windows. And then I'm looking for my default input to be my headset, which is this Corsair gaming headset that I'm using for this purpose. And then for my output to be the same headset so that I'm going to hear what I'm doing as we make our adjustments. So with both of those set, just need to click on OK, and that will be our input and output connected to the headset temporarily so that we can adjust the dynamics of our voice. So with our headset connected to Audition, we'll now open a new session in Audition, which we'll use to record the vocals, make our adjustments, and then save those settings for future use. So if I come up to File, New, and then I'm looking for the multi-track session. We'll give it a name. Click OK. And that takes us into our mixer view. If you're not seeing the mixer view, click Mixer at the top of the screen. Now I can just check my inputs and outputs. So go to the top box there, and yes, there's my headset as my input. And then I'll go to the top right and just check my output. It is set to default, which should be okay, but I'll just check it again, and yes, there is my headset set to my output. So with our inputs and outputs created and our session all in place, we're ready to move to the next step. And that next step is to record a section of our voice that we can work on to make our adjustments. So back in Audition, I'll click the arm record button. I'll go to the top and look at the track. And in the track view, I'm just going to go across and hit the record button and start speaking into my headset.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And now I'll hit the stop button, go back to the mixer view and disarm the recording for that input. So with the recording of our voice, and it was a fairly quiet sound from that microphone on my headset, we can now look at some of the tools we can use to control it. So I'm going to use 3 dynamics controls. First, a noise gate. This allows through the louder sounds of our spoken voice, but closes between the spoken words to shut off the quiet sounds and reduce some of the background noise. Next, we'll use a compressor. And with a compressor, we can set a preset level of sound. And if the sound increases above that, say by 100% above, we'll only allow it to increase by 25% above. That way we can get some variation in levels, but keep them under control. Then we'll use a limiter. The limiter stops the sound from getting so loud that it hits the maximum our digital systems can handle, which results in an awful crackling sound. So it's back into Audition. And the first thing we'll do is we'll set our recorded voice to play in a loop. So if we just go to the track settings and look at the loop playback button, make sure that's pressed. Don't press record, but come across here and press play. And our sound should start to play continuously in a loop for us so that we can start to make our adjustments.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
now we'll go back up to the mixer view.
9, 10.
And for our track, we'll go to the effects slot, which I've got the arrow on there. We'll click the right arrow to see the menu. And from that menu, we'll choose amplitude and compression.
8, 9,
and then in the second menu, dynamics.
1, 2, 3.
That'll open a rack effect.
5,
and we'll turn on the
6,
auto
7,
gate, which is our noise
8,
gate.
9,
and the
10.
main control that we've got on the auto gate is the threshold control. So if you remember, anything above the threshold that we set will be allowed through. Anything below the threshold will be cut off. So the aim is to set this level between our spoken voice and the noise, the background noise.
3, 4, 5.
If you set it too high, you'll find that you'll clip the spoken voice.
9,
if you set it too low, you'll let the noise through. And then I'm just going to adjust this hold setting, which decides how quickly the gate shuts again. And I'm going to put that to about 80 milliseconds.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4.
The next setting is to come and have a look at the compressor.
6, 7,
so if I switch
8,
on the compressor,
9,
and the
10.
main controls I'm going to use here are the ratio and threshold. So the ratio decides how much I'll squash the sounds when they get above a certain level.
4,
and for this
5,
purpose, I'm going to set it to
6,
4.
7, 8, 9, 10.
And then I'm going to adjust the threshold, which is the level at which the compressor starts to work.
2, 3,
and
4,
I just want it so
5,
that the bars
6,
along the top
7,
show that the
8,
sound is just
9,
starting to be compressed. 10. So if I come down to my threshold control.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And you see the meter
7,
at the top there showing
8,
that it's just starting
9,
to work.
10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Now the
7,
final control I'm
8,
going to adjust on the compressor
9,
is
10.
the makeup gain. So a compressor, by the way it works by squashing the louder
1,
sounds,
2,
actually reduces
3,
the overall volume.
4,
So we make
5,
that up with that control
6,
at the bottom.
7,
But I'm actually going to do a
8,
little bit further
9,
than that. My microphone
10.
was a fairly quiet microphone on that headset. So I'm going to take it up and I'm just watching the levels
1,
along the
2,
bottom of the screen. And
3,
I want them to be sitting
4,
there about
5,
the 9 to 6 mark on a
6,
normal spoken
7,
voice.
8,
And
9,
that allows me
10.
plenty of room if I want to go and get excited and shout a little bit during the call, but
1,
without
2,
being so quiet
3,
that we can hardly
4,
hear the voice. So
5,
somewhere 12, 9
6, 7,
for your normal
8,
spoken voice,
9,
for the quietly
10.
spoken will be fine.
1, 2,
And the final
3,
setting I'm going to make is the
5,
limiter. This will
6,
stop our
7,
sounds getting up to that
8,
digital zero and
9,
resulting in
10.
crackles. And the maximum level I want them to get to is somewhere between -1, -2.
1,
And that's
2,
basically, it's a set
3,
and forget setting.
4,
Just switch it on.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So now that we have the dynamics under control, the next thing we'll look at is using an equalizer to adjust the tone of our microphone. Now, we're not trying to emulate from a simple headset a high quality studio microphone. That's never going to work. But we can take off some of the hiss and some of the edginess from that microphone. So back into Audition, and I'm going to go to the second effect slot in our track in the mixer. Click the right arrow, and this time pick Filter and EQ, and then pick the Parametric Equalizer. So
7,
with the equalizer
8,
open,
9, 10.
I'm just going to top and tail the high and very, very low sounds
1,
using a high
2,
pass filter
3,
and a low pass
4,
filter. So click on the high
5,
pass, click on the low
6,
pass. You'll notice
7,
both are set in the
8,
gain settings
9,
just above that
10.
control to 24 dBs per octave, which is quite a big fall off. And then I'm going to turn off
1,
the L and H
2,
controls
3,
because they overlap
4,
with the two controls
5,
I've just set anyway.
6, 7, 8,
And my particular
9,
headset
10.
reduces the bass sounds to stop the nasty popping that you can get with a microphone
1,
in front
2,
of your mouth. But I think
3,
it's a little bit
4,
aggressive on this, so I'm going to
5,
put a little bit of the bass
6,
back just by
7,
adjusting the
8,
frequency around
9,
about 100 hertz
10.
and making that a slight increase. I'm going to reduce the width. If the lower the number, the
1,
wider range of
2,
frequencies
3,
the
4,
control operates
5,
over. So a little
6,
bit of gain
7,
around the 200
8,
just puts that little bit
9,
of bass back into
10.
that microphone.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The other issue with
5,
this microphone, it can be a
6,
bit aggressive
7,
around S
8,
sounds.
9.
So what
10.
I'm going to do is I'm going to make a narrow band by increasing the Q value,
1,
and I'm going to
2,
boost it up,
3,
and then I'm just going to
4,
move the frequency
5,
about until I find
6,
those aggressive
7,
S sounds.
8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1,
And having
2,
found them,
3,
I'm now going to change
4,
that gain that I put in
5,
before and make it a
6,
cut.
7,
Now
8,
there are other ways of
9,
dealing with the S
10.
sounds using a de-esser, but this is a fairly simple way just to tame this microphone.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And that's all the adjustments I'm going to make to keep this particular headset under control. So the next step is to hook up the output of Audition to Connect using our virtual cable. So I'll click at the top right in Audition on the default output and pick Audio Hardware. And then I'm going to set the default output now to our virtual audio cable. Accept my choice and click OK. So now that my input is through my headset and my output is to my virtual audio cable, I'm going to go down to my track and arm it for record. So I'm going to click on the R to arm it for record. And then I'm also going to monitor the input. So now the live microphone is coming in through that track, through that processing, and going out through the output on our virtual audio cable. So I'm now going to save my settings. So just File, Save, and they're there for future use. And with that, I've now got my headset connected through Audition and coming out on my cable. I just now need to set my cable to Adobe Connect so I can use it with the live calls. So we'll go to Adobe Connect, and at the top of the screen we'll click on the microphone symbol, the little drop down arrow, and choose Select Microphone. And from the choices in there we need to choose our virtual cable because that's our output from Audition. Once chosen, I can go back up to that microphone symbol again. It should change to green once it's live. And I can adjust the microphone volume. And I just want to set it to the middle value, and that will work well with the levels that we set in Audition. Once done, just click OK, and we're ready to go with our live call. And that connects my audio so that my headset is connected to Audition, and the Audition output is connected to Adobe Connect Live so that we can do the conference calls with our sound under control. Because we saved our settings in Audition, it means we can recall those settings at any time for use on future calls. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. Special thanks to ACPs Jane Edwards and Trevor Dennis for their input and their feedback. And if you need to contact me with any questions, you'll find me on the Adobe Forums under the name Dave SCM. Goodbye.